Well, hello, everybody. My name is Matt, and I have 2 degrees, and welcome to another installment of the Teacup for One Tim Burton movie marathon. Tonight, we are assembling once more to talk about another classic Tim Burton film. And like I say, classic, a lot of them are classics, but this is another classic. So tonight we are here to discuss Sleepy Hollow, Tim Burton's live action adaptation of the classic ghost story, the Washington Irving classic. And yeah, it's got Johnny Depp. It has a lot of classic Tim Burton mainstays, and I'm excited to hear what people have to say about it. Let's check who we have in the chat tonight. We have my cat Sabrina. Hello, Sabrina. Many meows. Meow with you. Today is my special day. Yes, Sabrina, today is Black Cat Appreciation Day. No, sorry. Black Cat Appreciation Day is during the summer. Today is National Black Cat Day. There's a lot of Black Cat days scattered throughout the year, but you can't have too many Black Cat days because, Black cats, they are the most magical of creatures. Dare I say the most meowgical of creatures. And this, like, the saddest statistic ever is that they are the least likely to get adopted, which is ridiculous because they go with everything. A little black cat goes with every event. A little black cat goes with absolutely every outfit, and they camouflage so well. But there are some terrible people out there who like to hurt them, which is upsetting. But then, just if you're in a position to adopt a cat, get a black cat. That's the end of the story there. Who else do we have here? Eliza, this movie isn't my cup of tea. I'm going to listen with my eyes closed. I'm relaxing on your bed. Oh, Eliza, it's my other cat. She's a great cat. Every day is Great Cat Day as well in Eliza's world. There we are. And Bem says, I will get those puns. I will get all the puns. All right, let's bring in our first guest for the evening to discuss this film with us. Who's it gonna be? It's Jeanette, everybody.
Hello.
Hello, Jeanette.
And many black cat salutations. I as well have adopted a black cat.
What? I didn't know that.
Well, maybe I have a black cat that I adopted. She's, we've had her for a little bit over a year now, but yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Her name is Sparkles.
To her. That's so magical.
So
I adore that.
I second that. Adopt a black cat.
Everyone needs a black cat in their life. Yes. I don't really have one within arm's reach. Closest I have is Figaro. We love
There
Figaro.
You go. I also have a black and white cat. So I have 1.5 black cats.
You have a tuxedo cat. I love them. So you know what? Normally I would ask favorite ghost, but we did that for Beetlejuice week. Yes. So
favorite
black cat or favorite headless person. We can do that. Both. Favorite headless person and favorite black cat, please.
Favorite headless person. It's a tie between Billy Butcherson and because he's sometimes headless. And then there was a video game for Sega Genesis in the 90s called Decap Attack. And if anybody remembers it, they should chime in because that was one of my favorites. So yeah. And favorite black cat. Honestly, I think the one from Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the Melissa Joan Hart iteration.
Yeah. Salem Saberhagen.
Yes. He was hilarious.
I have a whole video about why he's superior to Thackeray Binks from Hocus Pocus. Yeah. And I rank it. There's different categories. So Vincent's chiming in. Favorite headless person is Ned Stark.
Cool. Why do I know that name but don't
know? Too soon.
Where is that from?
Spoilers. It's spoilers for Game of Thrones season 1.
Oh,
Lisa knows.
Okay. That's why I only know the name.
Welcome, Lisa. Is Ned Stark your favorite headless person as well?
No, I think my favorite headless person would be Anne Boleyn.
Very good.
Yeah, she got her head cut off.
Yep, as did most of them.
Only two.
Only two of them. Yeah,
only two, because one survived, beheaded, died, and
divorced, beheaded.
Divorced, beheaded, died, divorced, beheaded, survived.
That's it.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
I usually stop listening after Lose Your Head because it's my favorite song in that show.
I just learned that 6 exists.
Oh, did you?
Just learned that. Yes. Yeah, literally 2 months ago.
Oh my God. I'm mad obsessed. I'm
obsessed too. It is gorgeous. This is gorgeous. My favorite black cat.
Oh yes.
Luna from Sailor Moon. I don't know if she's actually a black cat, but she's dark purple, so she counts.
Yes.
Yeah, I think in comic books and anime, dark purple equals black. Yeah. Kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, because black, I imagine, is pretty well impossible to animate. Like if you want a cat to be able to have some kind of features. So even like the animated Sabrina series, Salem was dark gray.
Yeah.
Like they still refer to him as a black cat, but yeah. There it is. Wonderful. Well, let's bring in our final guest for this evening. It's Mary of Jolly Holiday with Mary. Mary, I'm so happy to have you back. Welcome.
I'm so excited to be back. I missed you guys the last few weeks. I was like, what am I doing with my life?
I know. Well, you've been watching Sleepy Hollow, obviously. So same question, Mary. Favorite headless person and favorite black cat, please.
Man, I can't think of a better cat than Salem. Like he was just legit the best. And we're having a 90s night, 99. So we'll go with him. And I was thinking what Bob said, that nearly headless Nick from Harry Potter. I don't know if he counts though, because it's not quite off.
It's a whole point in the book about how he's not allowed to join the Headless Society or something.
Oh, well, we are accepting people.
Yeah.
Count that as a headless person. It's okay.
Like, I think in our hearts, yes. But in his rejection letter, I recall they made some very good points. Like the whole point is that we're going to do stuff with our heads. Like we're going to play volleyball and whatever. And like you can't. So
okay. How about the guy who holds his head in a hat box in the
Hatbox Ghost. Yeah, that's a good one.
That one.
Solid choice. Is he a Funko Pop? I feel like he might have been one of the first Funko Pops.
Yeah.
And that was probably worth like thousands of dollars.
I hope he is.
Definitely a Funko Pop. Yeah.
No, he needs to come back. That's the thing. We have some great answers here in the chat as well. So Ned Stark, we saw that. Nearly headless Nick. Martha's favorite black cat is Salem. We know, yes. Because yes, I had a real Salem for 18 years. Martha cared for him for most of that. Well, not even most, for all of that time. But yes, he was the most magical kitty. What do we have here? Dynamite Hetty if we're doing old games and headless folks. I don't know what that is. Is this another video game reference? Probably a video game reference. Yes, also Snowball 2, Valiant Black Cat. Simpsons, yes. There's that one episode of Simpsons that's so depressing where Snowball 2 dies at the beginning and Lisa keeps getting more cats. And then they just keep dying until at the very end, the crazy cat lady throws a new black cat at her as almost like a gift. And it looks exactly like Snowball 2. And the episode ends with her saying, technically you're like Snowball 27, but I'm just going to call you Snowball 2 for simplicity from now on. And we're never going to acknowledge this again. I'm like, good for you. Rebuild the continuity. All right. So Sleepy Hollow. Woo! Tim Burton's like creepy Disney live action remake that's not officially a Disney live action remake. So there it is. But lots of references, which I thought was pretty darn exciting. Was this anyone's first time watching the movie? There. Okay, Lisa, we'll come to you last. So classic question, nostalgic value and or if you recall the first time you saw it for either Jeanette or Mary.
You go ahead.
Sure. So I did see this one in theaters. I'm not entirely sure that I remember that occasion, but I do remember going to the mall to go see it. So like I don't remember sitting and watching it, which is kind of weird. But then I remember watching it for years to come on tape with my friends, or probably DVD. At that point we were doing DVD, I suppose. So yeah.
Fun. Mary?
This was like the first scary movie that I ever watched because I am not a scary movie person. I don't even know how my family got me into watching it because I was just kind of terrified. But I remember we were living in Kentucky and it had to be like 8th or 9th grade. And there were even higher stakes for me because we had this field behind my house and my dad would love to pretend like the Headless Horseman was going to ride through the field and come and get us. That was like a fall night scary thing that he would do. I think I hear footsteps or hoof prints or whatever those are called. So watching this movie was like doubly scary, but I don't know. I enjoyed it because it wasn't like super gory. Like anytime something terrible happened, it was just kind of like fun gory. I don't know.
Yeah.
The gore is very cut and dry, quite literally.
Yeah. And the blood is like very definitely not real blood. Very thick. So
yeah, we'll touch on that later. That was one of the things I wanted to talk about.
Fair. Yeah, I didn't see this till I was a teenager because I remember it coming out and I was intrigued by it because I knew of the Disney cartoon, but also knew I'd be too scared to see it in theaters. And then my friends, some of them saw it, and also because at the time probably would have been like somewhere between 10 to 12. So, like it was a scary, well, I still think it's a scary movie now, but especially for kids, it was a scary movie to the point where like they were talking and recounting about all the most terrifying parts, one of which being the woman in the woods when she like has her eyes come out. So when I finally did come to see the movie at like probably 16 or 17, that scene just, the anxiety spiked. Even now, the other night, it happened again. And like there are still parts that I can't watch. Mostly all the flashbacks with Ichabod's mom, knowing what's going to go down. And I thought maybe this would be the time I wouldn't close my eyes, but I did. So I still don't know how gory that scene is, but even knowing in practice what happens, that I don't want to watch it. I don't want to watch it. So there it is. So Lisa, let's get your first impressions as a first-time viewer.
Yeah, I've never seen it before. I never really had any interest in watching it before. I don't know why. But my first impressions are twofold. The first 3/4, brilliant, almost the perfect movie. And then the last quarter, not so great. And we can discuss why. But that was my takeaway.
Fair.
Yeah.
I enjoy that. My internet is going in and out, so if I fall away, I trust all of you to continue talking.
We hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, it's been fine on my end.
Brilliant. All right. So how do we feel that the movie holds up then for those who have seen it before? Mary, let's start with you on this rewatch. Anything new that you encountered, new thoughts, new perspective?
I found myself fact-checking the whole time. Like, were they doing autopsies during this time? Kind of, not really. It was like a newer thing. There was something else. Oh, like scissors. Did they have scissors? And they did. But chalk. When Katrina is doing the chalk drawings and stuff, I was like, did they have chalk back then? And no, they did not. And they especially did not have pink chalk. Colored chalk did not come along until a long time from now. So don't even ask me why that happened, but I was just like, I need to check all of these things. But other than that, I thought it held up really well. I like the CGI was decent, and the music was just as like haunting. It gave me all the chills. That first scene when he's like riding around with the in the carriage and the guy's coming for him, and the smoke with like the words and stuff. I was just as creeped out. It was awesome.
Love it. Jeanette, how did it hold up for you?
I thought it held up really well. Like Mary said, the CGI held up. So like, that's always one of the first things I look at. It's like, does this stand out like a sore thumb? And it didn't. Everything looked really great. I thought that there was nothing. I know sometimes we watch these movies and we're like, well, you can't say that anymore in a movie or whatever, like I didn't feel like there was any of that, at least nothing that was egregious enough to stand out. And I thought that the way it was made held up. Sometimes I think like lighting and things like that can come across as very period or like of that time, like, oh, they were still kind of looking for that look, but it was Burton-esque. It was definitely fit in Burton's wheelhouse in a lovely way that wasn't repetitive. So
Nicely said. Yeah, I felt the same way. I feel like it held up much better than I expected it to in terms of visuals, in terms of, well, story in some ways. I keep teeter-tottering between how I feel about this as an adaptation of Sleepy Hollow, which is something that I want to talk about a little bit more in depth later. One thing that really stood out to me was the cinematography. And once I saw the credits rolling at the beginning, when I saw the cinematographer's name, Emmanuel, what's his last name? I looked it up. Lubezki. Like, he's the guy that does pretty much everything with Alfonso Cuarón. So he's the cinematographer from Children of Men and Gravity. He also did Birdman. So yeah. So once I saw his name, I got super excited, and he did not let me down, because I find with a lot of movies I don't even know what I mean when I say like this, but I'll say it anyway. With a lot of movies like this, when I revisit them, the cinematography and overall production design usually doesn't hold up as well as it does in my memory, but I think this still looks visually like an incredible film that holds up now. And like, the shots maybe aren't as cool or dynamic as what that fellow did in like Children of Men or in Birdman, but it's good. It's a very well shot movie, and I love the Burton-esque elements that feel like all the Burton-y qualities of this movie feel very organic to the setting and to the story instead of feeling like they've been shoehorned in, which is what I recall my issue was with Sweeney Todd, which I'll probably discuss next week. So overall, yeah, I think it held up better than I expected. Initially, I wasn't a fan of the adaptation, and I'm not even still sure that I am. But yeah, I want to hear Lisa's thoughts about the last, about the third act of the movie, because it might lead into my thoughts on this movie.
Well, I mean, like, aesthetically, I think it, like, as a first-time viewer in 2022, like, I think it's a great film. Like, the look, the feel, it's juicy, it's satisfying, and knowing that the cinematographer is who he is, like, it makes so much sense because his movies are, like, so stellar. But my problem with the last act, I would say, of it is mainly to do with the narrative. I feel like they rushed a lot at the end, and I appreciated the short-ish runtime of like 145, but like there was like a scene or like many scenes that like happened really quickly where he's with Christina Ricci and then she leaves and then he leaves and then he comes back, and like all happening within like a 3-minute window. And I was like, oh my God, this is really fast. What's happening here? And I didn't understand why. Like, to me, there was no like impetus as to like creating that feeling of rushedness. And also, like, I just had a lot of questions. And maybe it's because like I'm a first-time viewer that I was like, oh, this seems like I don't quite get it in terms of like the reveal of the woman's name, the blonde lady's name.
I can't remember the character's name.
Lady Von Tassel or Von. I keep wanting to say Von Trapp, and that's not right.
Yeah, let's just call her Lady Von Trapp.
Yeah, sure, Lady Von Trapp.
Anyway, that's where she went. She didn't die. Yeah. So it was mostly the narrative, the aesthetic, gorgeous. I love the gothicness. I love the time period. It was good, but yeah, the narrative wise, I think I might need to watch it a second time to feel and to understand the love for the movie.
I think it's like Bob says there. It's too much family tree stuff. It just, when it got to the end, when Lady Von Trapp was explaining her connection to absolutely everything, I had to pull up the wiki page, which actually I had open already because I was already confused. I was like, who's who, what is what, and what's everyone's relation to everything. Like I got enough, and I think that's all you need. You need to have enough of a sense of like, she is invested in this and doesn't like these people, and there it is. And I think that was communicated effectively, but also I like to know why. I like to understand the intricacies.
I think one of the things too is like, even if you don't get all of the family dynamics, it's okay as long as you get why. I think as long as you understand her not even relationship family wise, but like what had happened for her to hate Christina Ricci's character, Katrina, and then also just knowing that she was the little girl in the woods.
Oh, yeah.
Like I feel like if you know that, even if you don't get all the dynamics, then it's okay. And to Lisa's point about the movie picking up at the end like rapidly, I don't know that it's intentional. I don't want to like make people sound like geniuses that didn't even really mean for it to be this way, but like I feel like that's the urgency, like this whole conspiracy thing, all these people are dying off, and then like 3 of them die off, and like they didn't even have to try to kill 2 of them. So that was like a pickup in the story. And there's like this urgency, like she's going to be done. Whoever's controlling the guy is going to be done real soon. So we better toot sweet figure this out, you know?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I feel about it. But again, who knows if that was the intention?
Yeah, I don't know. I think like because I would say like at the beginning with like the 3 murders that happened of like, and the reason why Johnny Depp is like brought into town, like that happens very fast. And I'm like right with it. I'm like, okay, here we go. And I think it was the family that got murdered and like the reason why they got murdered, I got like stuck in the muck with. And I was like, oh no, I don't understand. And then it kind of like
The midwife family?
yeah, the
Yeah.
midwife.
Yeah, okay.
I was like, oh no, like I'm lost and I'm not enjoying it anymore.
Mhm.
But maybe it was just because like I think maybe it was the pacing of the movie. I don't know. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
no,
But you're right.
there-
Like I didn't have to understand the dynamic to get why Lady Von Trapp was doing the things that she was doing.
Yeah, but I think it helps. So for me, it helps so much in murder mysteries because essentially that's what this is in murder mysteries, to fully know who everybody is to everybody else, so that I have a clear picture of, so that's satisfying when it actually gets to the reveal at the end. And like for the most part, I think the pacing was okay, but like it totally lost me pretty well. It lost me at the point when Lady Von Trapp said, and no one asked for this information, but out of nowhere, she's like, by the way, I also killed my sister.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't understand that one
I know.
still.
It's like she's monologuing. I get the monologuing, and it kind of like monologuing scenes with villains at the end is such a trope because it usually feels so awkward. It felt okay until that moment for me, where I was like, yeah, no, you were doing so well.
I felt like
Lady Von
whoever
Trapp.
wrote that just really wanted you to know that that was her sister, even though really it had no bearing. They're just like,
Right.
It
make
didn't
sure they
matter.
knew that I put her, that's her sister. That's a little secret. It's like,
Yeah. Totally.
It does make me wonder like how they would have done that like wrap up conclusion if it wasn't for that villain monologue, because it really was the bow tie to everything, but it just seemed like a very tacky bow tie.
It kind of
Exposition.
did, but
Yeah.
I love Miranda Richardson, so I was happy she finally got to talk and do stuff.
does anybody
Yeah.
else think Miranda Richardson looks like Michelle Pfeiffer?
Jeanette,
Yeah.
the entire time this
I
is
thought it was
gonna
Michelle
Jeanette.
Pfeiffer.
You're gonna hate me, but I kept wishing during that monologue that she was Michelle Pfeiffer. I did not like it.
I thought it was her. And
Oh,
like,
I loved
think,
it.
I think Aaron thought I was crazy. He's like, no, it's not Michelle Pfeiffer. I'm like, looks exactly like her. What are you talking about?
Yeah, no,
Miranda Richardson, queen of the fantasy made for TV movies from the 90s.
Right?
She was the queen of arts.
I
she's my
think I
favorite
thought
people.
my whole life that this was Michelle Pfeiffer.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
maybe. But
Nuts.
just think about Michelle Pfeiffer in this role.
No.
Right?
I would see it.
I would be down, and I think I might have liked it a little bit more.
Although, no, I do always like Michelle Pfeiffer more than I expect to when I see her in movies. It's almost like now where I haven't seen her in a while, where I'm like, I don't think she's that good. But no, she is. I just forget. So there it is. Yeah. Yeah. I probably should have asked this earlier, but how familiar was everybody with the source material and or the Disney cartoon going into this? Mary, how about you? Had you seen the Disney cartoon? Since I know you're a fellow Disney person.
I've never read the book or anything, but I did just recently watch the Sleepy Hollow short film or whatever it is, the Bing Crosby thing.
Yeah.
Because I had never seen it before. And then somebody told me Bing Crosby narrated it, and I was like, oh, well, sign me up. So, yeah, I just recently watched that, and I liked it a lot. The only thing is, like, the Headless Horseman chased him for way too long. They just kept going in circles, it felt like. That was my only complaint.
But yeah.
I think if I had seen it as a kid, I probably would have been like, oh, this is so suspenseful. But as an adult, I'm like, all right, can we just kill him or don't kill him? Whatever. Like, get this over with.
Yeah. Jeanette, I'm assuming you've seen the Ichabod Mr. Toad.
I have. Yeah. We've I don't know to say we watch it yearly, but yeah, I try to sit down and watch all those old Disney Halloween things. And then but I've never read the book.
Yeah, neither have I. But from what I gather, the Disney cartoon is pretty much exactly it, like beat for beat.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's a very short story from what I've been led to understand. Have you seen it, Lisa? Are you familiar?
No, I haven't. But my partner said that he remembers reading the book and that Ichabod is actually a teacher in that?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
the school teacher.
Cool to see.
Interesting. So what, like, how does that all transpire if he's a teacher, not a detective in this?
The whole thing, and this is something that
Mm-hmm.
I'm fascinated to hear everyone's thoughts about, because I love adaptations as a rule, but I've learned recently, especially between this and Fantastic Mr. Fox, that I don't usually I don't care for feature length adaptations of things that are meant to be short form. And I feel that Sleepy Hollow in its original incarnation was very much meant to be a short story because, well, obviously that's what it was. But Ichabod is a school teacher who just goes to Sleepy Hollow to teach and to be a teacher. Then he has a crush on Katrina, and then Brom Bones is like, no, she's mine. And then there's a rivalry, but Ichabod doesn't really give in to Brom. But Brom realizes that if he can't beat up Ichabod physically, he'll just mess with him mentally because Ichabod is super superstitious. So then, at least in the Disney cartoon, it's kind of implied that either Brom makes up the Sleepy Hollow ghost story on the spot, or he's just really embellishing it to scare Ichabod. And then once Ichabod hears the story and gets the idea of the Headless Horseman in his mind, then he's chased by the horseman. And the whole thing is like the bridge is super important because the horseman can't cross the bridge. So Ichabod just has to get across the bridge to survive. But then the horseman like throws a pumpkin at him in the cartoon, at least. And then the next morning, Ichabod is nowhere to be found. And it's left really nicely and ambiguous where you don't know if the horseman's real or if Brom just bullied him out of town. And I personally love ambiguity like that.
That's
So
cool.
yeah, and
Yeah,
I think the simplicity is so good.
Yeah, and I think also it's interesting because in the cartoon, Ichabod is like also, even though he's like this scrawny, weird looking guy, somehow he's like this like womanizer type.
Oh yeah,
where, like
he's a dick.
he's at the Halloween party and he's just like dancing with all the girls, even though he's trying to get Katrina. It's really odd. Like they make this whole point that Brahm's her dude because he's like the big guy on campus, so to speak, but Ichabod's still like kind of like this user and not going to say abuser, but he's like goes to Katrina's house and she like cooks for him and stuff. But
Oh,
it's
wow.
really weird. I don't know. The cartoon plays out kind of oddly, in my opinion. I actually like this adaptation and what they changed, the few things they changed. I don't like that they took away the bridge thing though. That the guy could just go over the bridge. I was
Wow.
like, that was kind of a big deal. The bridge was kind of a big deal.
Hearing
Yeah.
that like is very sad that they changed that.
Well, what stood out to me about this movie is that like it does have the scene that is pretty well all of the original Legend of Sleepy Hollow, like the scene where Brom is pretending to be the horseman and he does chase him across the bridge and he does throw a pumpkin at him. And so we do get served that a little bit, but it's just kind of like a write-off. It's like a drop in the bucket compared to what the rest of the movie is, which really, I like that choice in some ways and don't like it in others. I like it because it is servicing the original story and it's giving us that like literally the Legend of Sleepy Hollow, but then setting it in a context to be like, there's more story that you don't know. But I also kind of find that trope when people are adapting material to be kind of annoying when they change or not. Well, they had to change the story to make it a feature, but still, when you have such a classic, the idea of going in and then expanding on it and building on it with the notion of like, you don't know the whole story. And I don't like that. So yeah. So how does everyone feel about the choice to turn him from a school teacher into a detective, which essentially leads into the question, how do you like this at what they did, the choices they made to flesh it out to be an almost 2-hour movie? Because they essentially wrote a very complicated murder mystery that had some connection to the Headless Horseman. Mary, what do you think? That was a big laugh.
I like that had some connection to the Headless Horseman.
Yeah.
I loved it. I love this movie. I think that's what gets me through it being scary is that it's more of a murder mystery. So you're trying to figure that out with the scary stuff happening in the background kind of thing. I don't know. The constable idea is just so much more interesting than just like a school teacher. And Johnny Depp looks adorable in all black and all confused. And then just the whole time he was excellent. I think this is my first Johnny Depp and Tim Burton movie. that I ever saw,
What?
actually.
Oh, wow.
And I
How
fell
many
madly in
Tim
love.
Burton movies can you have seen without Johnny Depp?
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Right.
Oh, there you go.
Probably the only one.
Yeah.
But I don't think I saw that until after I saw this somehow.
Mhm.
Oh.
Yeah.
I loved
Yeah.
it.
No, it's an interesting one because it's kind of in the middle of the Burton Depp collaboration. I feel, and I think that this is just sort of where it got to the point where Johnny Depp was becoming a default for Tim Burton to
Mhm.
cast, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was interesting also comparing him in this to Ed Wood because again, I'm so used to Johnny Depp being, well, he is kind of wacky in this, but being some kind of fantastical, like almost fantasy type character, like a pirate or something. But here he's just a normal person. And I thought that was, yeah, an interesting shift. Yes. Yes. But Lisa Jeanette, how do you feel about the murder mystery element and just the efforts to cram a ton into this movie to justify it not being 20 minutes long?
I liked. I would off the top of my head, I'd say I liked all the changes they made to the story to make it a feature and to make it more, like Mary said, more interesting than just he's just a guy and this is just happening to him. I thought making him a detective in this time period where he has more than one thing to prove, like he's not just there to solve the crimes, but he's there to prove his methods. I think that, and the fact that he is a man of science and that this is like a whole like ghost story spiritual thing, showing those dichotomies and making him question it. I think that's a nice subtext of why it goes on that long, because he's not inclined to believe it at first, and he feels like he has something to prove. I would have liked to have seen a scene where, when, because they do go back to the city in the end, I would have liked to see him like go and be like, look, my methods worked. I followed the clues and I solved the crime and here it is. Like, because that was kind of a whole thing at the beginning, and then there's kind of no
Mhm.
resolution there.
Mhm.
It was kind of just an excuse to have him play with little gadgets, which is fine. I love Johnny Depp playing with little gadgets. That's great. I'll take it. I like nerdy science Johnny Depp. That's a good one too. So I'll take that. But I liked that it also gave us an avenue to like have a reason that we're investigating murders. Like, why, there's not too much reason why anybody would be doing that, so this guy is actually able to get in there. It gives you a little bit of a reason to show some gore, right? Or at least like some weird stuff. So I thought that was cool. It's a way to introduce many things into the story, and I like that device.
Yeah, it felt very what's the word I'm looking for? Like not predetermined. It felt like it was predicting or ahead of its time in terms of the avenue a lot of Disney live action remakes have gone with. Even though this isn't a Disney live action remake, I feel like spiritually it is, because all the Disney live action remakes usually have a character that's like, I'm misunderstood by society and I'm a scientist, and that's my defining characteristic. And so he played with tiny tools so that Emma Watson as Belle could create a washing machine in the town fountain. So thank you, Johnny Depp. Lisa, how do you feel about the adaptation?
I mean, look, I love detectives. Like, I love detectives in TV and movies. Police officers, meh, but detectives, yeah. Like, I think they're like really good driving devices, especially in a murder mystery. So yeah, I thought it was great. Maybe I haven't seen Willy Wonka in a while, but for some reason there felt like little hints of Willy Wonka in Johnny Depp in this movie in Sleepy Hollow. Maybe it was because of the gadgets and like the eyeglasses and stuff. Which was good. Like, I don't like Willy Wonka, but like what I'm saying is I thought it was a good step in that direction. And it was fun to see him being, goofy and silly and like a scaredy cat in a way. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoy a good detective story. So
Well said. It's interesting equating him to Wonka because I think a strong characteristic between his characterizations for both of them is that they both sort of have this hands-off quality or this reluctance to touch things, because I know a big part of his character work for Wonka involved him feeling like Wonka had a bit of a germophobic aspect to him, where he just like didn't want to touch anything and didn't want kids touching him. And then in this movie, like Ichabod is just a full-out coward. Like as much as he loves science, he's like, I don't want to touch the icky stuff.
And like he's so disgusted when like the blood goes on his face. Yeah. But I will say that I agree with Jeanette in terms of like the where it like faltered was at like the end with the whole detectiveness and like just rounding out the story. Like when they went to town, it's like, okay, like what how are we gonna wrap the whole thing up now? Not just the mystery, but like his character. And yeah,
because we're meant to care about him as a character, and his story starts off with an objective that while we observe it happen and we know his methods work and all of that, he never goes back to the people that he was trying to prove that to. So like,
exactly. And it's just so like the not catharsis, but like the payoff for his character is like not complete, and I'm left disappointed.
I do like their little misfit family that they build.
Yeah, they're so cute.
And I'm still kind of weirded out by him and Katrina.
Well,
she's like a literal child.
Yeah,
Is she?
She's 19 in this movie. Well, Christina Ricci was 19 when she shot it, and I feel like to me, Katrina reads in this movie as being like 16 or 17.
Yeah, and he was 36 in this movie, so there's a bit of a difference of age.
Which is, if Mary's doing her fact checking, super accurate to the time period.
I totally thought she was older than that, but
it still makes me unhappy.
Yeah. Although I like their relationship wasn't as creepy as I thought it might be, just given the age difference. I mean, even though I know that they are kind of set up circumstantially to be romantically involved, like they do go to New York together and everything, and she's in love with him outright. But the way it was directed and everything, I felt was still done pretty tastefully. So I was scared that would be something that wouldn't age well, and the only reason it didn't was just by merit of how young Christina Ricci was reading.
I'll throw in here, I had when we started watching it, I couldn't remember how far we went down like the whole romance road with them. Mm-hmm. I appreciated that there was no kiss love scene. Like there was no major romantic scene. There was no like overly dramatic like embracing or like, oh, we are a thing now. It's like kind of happens naturally. So I appreciated that.
Yeah, it felt like a similar dynamic to what we saw in Big Fish. Well, I say what we saw, like we watched that movie. We didn't. I wish I programmed it, but one day it'll happen. With Ewan McGregor's character and Helena Bonham Carter's character, where the girl is in love with him and he's just like, no, you're literally a child. It almost felt similar to that, where a lot of the love and the investment was coming from her, which resolved quite nicely since it was revealed that she was using the witchcraft to save him by merit of her love, which I thought was quite nice. Mm-hmm. And I want to jump into the comments because Disney Dano made some fun points. Not only did they make him a detective, they made the script lean on the modernization of police work and how science was trusted less than religion and the supernatural back then. And I thought that was an interesting element, how they layered in the whole supernatural element just as being accepted fact in the world of this movie. And even though I have a hard time watching the Lisa Marie scenes, knowing that she's going to be Iron Maidened, I fully, I think I was able to appreciate what that did for his character. And that was the only thing that gave him a little bit of a character arc for me in terms of having something that from his past that informed who he was now and why he was so reliant on science and so reliant on facts. And it was on paper, I think I like it better than how it played out, because I don't know, I didn't connect with Ichabod all that much. But if I were to read the script, just having a character whose mom was killed because of practicing witchcraft, who then repressed that memory and then had to accept it so that he could save this town and then, go back to the supernatural elements that are kind of ingrained in his past. Like on paper, I like that. It just didn't I don't know. I didn't get the narrative satisfaction watching it. So
That's fair. I do agree with that. Yeah.
yeah. And how did the supernatural elements play out for everybody? Because it is so, there's nothing subtle about it. I think that's what sort of surprised me with this rewatch is it's just, this is a world where you can easily as a child just call up Satan and say, let me control this headless man. And then he'll be like, yes, here's a skull. Like there are just so many more out there gothic horror elements than I expected. And I didn't dislike it, but it was just kind of a surprise. I think I expected the movie to be more subtle, which I don't know why, because it's a Tim Burton movie. But how did everyone feel about how extreme and how extreme they went with the supernatural elements?
I loved, so I don't find this movie to be gory. I don't even remotely put it in the category of horror movie at all. I feel like it falls best under ghost story. Or because they didn't make him an actual ghost, I guess maybe just like you said, like a supernatural story. So I like that they just let it be that. Like I love a witchcraft, thing, like where you're going to integrate that somehow. And I like that they didn't beat around it. He showed up and they were like, hey, this is real. And he's like, okay, sure, I'll figure that out. And then he does figure that out. And then I like that we didn't spend a whole bunch of time with him denying it, being like, oh, this isn't really happening. This can't be right. It didn't take much. He was like, oh, yeah, I just witnessed that. That was for real. I'm at this tree and I'm hacking it and there's blood going everywhere and there's heads in a tree. Like it was all very much there. And I like that because then we're not questioning, is he crazy? Is this, we're not questioning anything. We can actually enjoy the story for what is going on and just take the elements as they're revealed to us and take them for literally what they're telling us. There's somebody controlling this guy. Cool. How are they doing it? They're doing it because they have a skull. Awesome. Like I don't need a 2.5-hour movie of us prancing around the bush trying to figure out how it all works. There's a real witch. There's a real headless guy. Like there's a tree filled with blood. Awesome. Let's take those facts and build the story on them. And that's what they did. So I thought I like how forward the supernatural is because then we can just enjoy what's happening.
Yeah. I totally agree with you, Jeanette. It like that's the reason why I think the first part of the movie for me it works out so well because they don't start denying the rules of the movie. They don't spend time being like that's not a thing and then going into a whole scene or scenes of denial. They just accept it and it's great and they move the movie forward. But I would have loved more of it, honestly. I love the witch in the woods.
Yes, I wanted more Woods Witch.
Yeah, I wanted more woods witch. I wanted more jump scares. I guess when he's hacking at the tree and the blood and stuff comes out, that's cool. But maybe more of that, more of more Christopher Walken before he gets headless. I don't know. I wanted to be more scared and I wanted to because of the fact that they were yes, these are the rules and this is how we're going. I just wanted more spookiness. That's all.
Yeah. I think I started to enjoy the movie more when I accepted that, like you said, Jeanette, that here it is. We're going full supernatural, not so much ghost story, full out witches, headless guy, goes to hell, comes back, the tree is the door. And my whole thing is, I don't know, I personally love ghost stories just as a rule. So it took me a little while to accept that that's not what this was. And then once I did, I was able to enjoy the movie a lot more. So yeah. Mary, how did you feel? Would you prefer this to be a straight up ghost story or do you like the witchy supernatural tree element?
Yeah, no, I like it the way it is. It's he's right, but he's also wrong. The people are right, but they're also wrong. And there's this cool thing with a head and the lady makes it happen. And then Karma is a bitch and she gets sucked down into hell because she gave her soul to the devil. So
oh my gosh. So satisfying when you see the terror in her eyes at the end when he's holding her. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I love you, Miranda Richardson. Let's talk about standout performances. Clearly, I love Miranda Richardson. Everyone's favorite performance and why? Let's start with who's it going to be? Lisa, how about you?
Oh no, I don't know. This is hard. Okay. I think I need some time to think about it.
We'll come back to you.
Sorry.
We'll circle back. Mary, Jeanette, if you two need time, I could just talk about Miranda Richardson all day long.
Oh my God.
I'll go. So I think even though he's only in the film for like, I don't know, 3 minutes at most, Christopher Walken in this, I think I'm taken with his performance in this because we're so used to hearing that voice. That voice
Right.
is so iconic. He doesn't use that in this. And to me, that's a mark of a good actor. If they can abandon the thing that they're really known for and still kill it and still make me want to see more of them in this movie, then that's pretty awesome. I thought he did a great job. Now, it's a mixture of him and the costume design. Costume design for him was just amazing. So I'll point that out. And then I think that while it's a pretty good stacked cast, I don't usually think that like the old guys in the movie, if there's a group of old men in a movie, that's not usually where the performances lie, in my opinion. But all of the really well-known actors in this that play the statesmen, I thought they did a really great job. They don't just come off as stuffy old men. They do all have individual personalities. You know, the bigger guy, I'm like, oh, he's actually trying to help. He's like, I want to help you. I don't want to endanger myself, but I'm going to help you. There's like the cowardly old man. The elder family guy, the Von Tassel guy. I thought actually came across as like, I really don't know what's going on. I'm worried about my city. Like he's an actually like somewhat decent guy. I know they're all kind of doing behind the scenes weird shadiness, but he wasn't awful. I thought it was interesting for me because I usually am not drawn to characters like that. But I thought all of them did a great job.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by Michael Gambon, and I'm sure I've seen him in things that aren't Harry Potter. I couldn't tell you what, but I just kept thinking Dumbledore, and I loved him so much in this movie. I felt like he was more Dumbledore in this than he was in the Harry Potter movies. Like, yeah, I know. Hot take, I said it. Specifically, my favorite Michael Gambon moment, if not moment, maybe in the movie. Well, no, there are better moments, but when Ichabod is freaking out, he's like, there's a horseman. He's like, yes, that's why you're here. Just very matter of fact. Like, pure, like that to me was more Dumbledore than anything he did in those movies. But yeah. So
that's what I mean. It reads, they were just like, they actually did something with those characters.
Yeah.
I thought that was really great.
Yeah, I think, I agree. Like their little like clique was the first time I've ever enjoyed old white men.
The group of old white men.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I like this clique. I want to be one of you guys.
Yeah, I would join this council of elders. I think my one issue, like, since they all had such similar names, as well as their characters were, as well as the performances were defined, for how wound up all of them were with the murder mystery element, I think that contributed to me being confused at the end when I was trying to connect the dots about like which Vaughn whatever is this and what was his role with this unborn child. I'm still not even sure. I couldn't recount to you what the drama was with the unborn child in the will. I just know something.
I understood.
Yeah.
I do, but I'm sure if I said that and then sat here and tried to like spit it out to you, it just wouldn't work. But like,
I think I just need to go on a deep dive.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine.
I was just proud of myself that I noticed the shot that said midwife on the door when he was going to attack the family. Because I thought if I didn't put this together, I'd be so confused right now. Because that's normally something I would miss and I'd have to go back. But I caught this. I put 2 and 2 together. So go me. Hooray. Thank you. Mary, favorite performance in the movie?
Man, I was just going to go with Johnny Depp, but I do love all the old guys, and I did not realize that was Dumbledore. I didn't put that together at all.
Well, Dumbledore 2.0.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes sense then. Yeah. Wow. Johnny.
Yeah,
I
but
just
the
enjoyed
original
Johnny
Dumbledore's
Depp's, like,
only in the first one, right?
No, he's in the first two.
Oh, is he? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Was he only in the first two?
Yeah, Richard Harris did Chamber of Secrets, and he died right after Chamber of Secrets.
Oh,
Oh, dang.
I think that was his last movie, actually. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's depressing. I appreciated that as I was watching the first part, because I was like working and listening because I've seen it so many times, but I did need a refresh. When the judge at the beginning was talking, I was like, oh, that's the narrator from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Or Willy Wonka and the
Christopher Lee.
whichever one is.
Christopher Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very,
Like,
yeah.
I know that voice. I don't think I've
Yeah.
ever watched those two movies so close together that
If
but I
I'm not
heard it and I was
mistaken, he
like, that
played
guy.
Dracula at one point in time. That's like what the horror movie role he's like well known for. He's
Oh,
a
probably
horror-
in the 70s.
classic.
That sounds
Yeah,
right.
he's a classic horror actor.
Oh, really?
He's
Christopher
great.
Lee?
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh, he's the
He's
not
the
Gandalf
fucking-
wizard, right?
Lord of the Rings guy.
Oh, yeah,
the-
Lord of the
Yes,
Rings.
he's yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
Not Sauron, the other S name. Saruman?
Saruman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who can
That
keep
one.
those straight?
I can't talk about Lord of the Rings on this channel because I'll get too angry and I'll make too many other people angry because Lord of the
Oh.
Rings really annoys me. But neither here nor there. Was Christopher Lee also in Edward Scissorhands? Was he the
Yes.
the creator?
No, that's Vincent Price. I'm sorry.
That's Vincent Price. Okay.
That was Vincent Price's last movie.
Oh, I love him.
Yeah.
Vincent, a classic. So good.
Yeah.
So
My
good.
God.
Both classic horror guys.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I think I figured out my
Who,
favorite.
okay.
Okay. Who's the guy who played young Masbeth?
Oh.
That kid? Mark Pickering. He was so sweet.
Mhm.
He
He
was
was
so
sweet.
and he was just like so ready to like figure
Yeah.
out the case with Johnny Depp. He was a
But-
good kid actor.
He was a
Yeah.
good kid actor.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's done that. I think he still has worked, but he hasn't done a lot of super noteworthy, or not
He's
even not
more of a
noteworthy, but like
stage
memorable.
actor apparently.
Oh, good for him.
Oh.
Yeah.
Love
yeah.
that for him.
No, I just thought like he was very believable and yeah, I don't know. There was just such like a really nice freshness about him.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nicely said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he seemed very earnest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes when kids,
Yeah.
I think that's a tough role to play too, because he kind of he was playing a kid who had to grow up fast and be an adult in a really kind of like not normal movie situation. So like
right.
it wasn't just like grow up and support yourself. It was like grow up and fight this headless guy and help me figure out this crime. Like
right.
very interesting.
Yeah, and I like that he didn't come off as too young
Yeah.
or too
Yeah.
old. He was just like
Perfect.
the
He was a
perfect
good 13.
teenager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
Good
right.
13.
Well, that's why I was a little like I don't know, sour about like the romance between Christina Ricci and Johnny Depp because I thought he would have been great,
Yeah.
young Masbeth with Christina Ricci's character because they just seemed more of age.
Really?
Yeah.
See, to me, that would have been creepy.
I-
That's what I was.
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking that too. At the end, when they got to New York, I was like, I want those two to get together. I
Yeah,
want
that
the
makes
kids.
so much more sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Just
And
let the
also,
kids have their
there's only a
moments.
5-year
Mary and I are like,
Okay, whatever.
He
Okay.
seems way younger than her.
Nah,
In my
He's
opinion.
only
same,
5
same.
years younger than her.
See, and in the movie world, I feel like he's like 3 years younger than her.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just thought that would have been a
So
whatever.
weird.
Whatever.
I swear I thought Christina Ricci was like at least 20 or something in this movie for my whole life. So my mind is
well.
blown.
I'll discuss her in a second. I want to talk about before I talk about my least favorite performer in this movie. I want to talk about my favorite performer in this movie. I love Miranda Richardson.
Shocker.
Well, actually, I don't know if she's my favorite. No, actually, maybe she is my favorite performance in this specific movie. I think she's such an underrated character actor, and she does so well in these types of movies, these very heightened fantasy films, and like her pulling double duty as Woods Witch Lady alongside Lady Von Trapp. You get to see all sides of what I think she's great at doing. I do wish we got more Woods Witch because I want to see more of that performance. But just even though we don't see her face, what she's doing physically, what she's doing with her voice is so engaging and so captivating. And then getting to see the polar opposite when she's super reserved but very calculated as Lady Von Trapp for the first like 3/4 of the movie, doing pretty much nothing super active, but just watching it and knowing that she's the one pulling the strings, you start to see little hints of awareness in her that I think are fantastic. And then when she does have her villain monologue at the end, I think she's hamming it up in the best way possible. Like, she knows what movie she's in and she's embracing it.
We need to clarify her name, Lady Van Tassel.
It's Van Tassel.
Yeah.
I just know
We
there
know.
were two. There were
Sorry,
two
Kristen.
Vans. There was
Just
a
a little
Van
inside
Tassel and a Van something else, and I was
Yeah.
like, I just keep wanting
Yeah.
to say Von Trapp. So we're just
I feel like Kristen wasn't here when we established the
no,
rule
yeah,
that was going to
we
be
know it's
her
not right.
name.
Yeah.
We know. Don't worry. We know. So yeah, that's why I love Miranda Richardson. And also because nostalgic value, she was the Queen of Hearts in a made-for-TV Alice in Wonderland movie that I grew up with, that I adore. Alongside, she was in Merlin with Sam Neill. She was in all these really, I was about to say bad, but they're not bad. All these very high budget for the time, but have aged to look like very low budget made-for-TV fantasy films that just have always made me adore her. I think she is a fantastic actor, and I like seeing her in big budget movies because it doesn't happen as often
did you
as it
watch
should.
is it now see look watch I'm gonna ask if you saw her in Dark Shadows, and then I'm gonna look it up and find out it's actually Michelle Pfeiffer. That's what's gonna happen right now. I'm gonna look it
That's
up.
probably what's going to happen. Yes.
I'm not
Dark
kidding. Yeah, I'm gonna
Shadows?
look up Dark Shadows.
I don't think Miranda's in Dark Shadows.
I don't
Darn it,
think
it's gonna
so.
be
Wait, who do you think she is in Dark Shadows?
it's freaking Michelle Pfeiffer.
Oh, it is Michelle Pfeiffer.
I swear they're twins. I swear they're twins.
Look,
Oh,
listen.
Oh, see,
funny.
Kristen knows that Alice is extraordinary. Sorry. keep
Look.
going.
Maybe I
Look at
need to watch.
It looks
more-
just like her.
like maybe I need to watch more of her other films because like that monologue, I just kept thinking, wow, Michelle Pfeiffer would have killed this. And
Double
just
Oscar nominee.
don't-
She's a double Oscar nominee.
Swear they look alike.
I need to
Goodness.
go and watch some of these movies you're talking
When I
about.
found out that wasn't her in this movie and it was Miranda Richardson, I went, oh, okay, well, Dark Shadows must have been her too, because I thought that was Michelle Pfeiffer too, except it really is.
I can't
Oh my
remember who
goodness.
which character was Michelle Pfeiffer? I don't.
She
I
was like
remember
the
very little
mom
about
of the
that.
family.
Oh yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. There it is.
You know who else? Okay, now this is awful because now I'm just like recasting.
Yeah.
Dreamcast.
Miranda Richardson. Who's that woman in Ted Lasso? The
Oh, Hannah, like Wigglesworth or something.
Wiggles.
Wiggles.
Yeah.
I think it's a Whittingham.
Yeah, I probably is.
That's it.
She would have been in this role too. Not
Yeah. Well, I think like
Evelyn.
now she'd be good. At the time this movie was made, she was probably like early 20s, I would guess. So I think she would have been.
really.
Yeah. Or how old is she? She
I don't know.
reads to me as like
Ted Lasso.
40s to 50s. There are also.
I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
know. Let's see.
So
It's-
Matt's got some dream casting, don't you?
Yes, I do. Okay, yeah, here we go.
Okay,
So let's talk about least favorite performances. And mine is Christina Ricci, and that role should have been Winona Ryder. That's my hot take. Because yes, older, but age appropriate for the romance that I want to see between Ichabod and Katrina on paper. But I don't want to see it when it's a literal child. Plus, also, I think this is the weakest performance I've seen from Christina Ricci, and I love Christina Ricci. Like, I think Wednesday Addams is an icon, but I don't even think she was good as Wednesday because she has a type. I think she's a very smart, capable actor. When I think of her in Casper, that's like a total 180 from what we saw in Addams Family. But then I feel like her role is not very well written in this movie, and I don't think she did much to make it better.
I agree that Christina Ricci ain't it. The bleached eyebrows, the blonde hair, the look was, I think, like too try hard for who Christina Ricci is, just like how she looks. I would go for Reese Witherspoon.
Ooh.
Maybe a little older in like the 1999, but like, yeah, I feel like that. I don't know. I think she would have brought something to the role, and she probably could have done a better accent. To be
No,
completely
like I think of Reese Witherspoon
accent was
in importance
crazy.
of being earnest. If I could have that carried into this movie, like 100%, yeah, like that's it.
I think if you put Winona Ryder in this, if they made the same costuming choices, like Lisa just mentioned with the hair, and with
Mhm.
the way that Johnny Depp was made up and with his little gadgets and stuff, it might have come off as too reminiscent of Edward Scissorhands because she's a blonde in that, and
Yeah.
he's.
True.
But who knows? Just I like Christina Ricci in this, but I do think while she was trying to seem distant and maybe a little bit closed off so as not to be figured out, I think it ended up coming across as emotionless. So
Yeah.
maybe a touch more emotion in that performance would have been great. This is probably the only time you'll ever hear me say this. I while I love Johnny Depp in this, and I think he did a great job, I could see someone else doing this. I'm not entirely sure who, but it
Guy
did.
Ritchie.
Stop it, Vince.
It's Ricci.
I can't.
I don't know how old he would have been at the time. I guess it was like Fight Club time, but like an Ed Norton,
Ooh.
someone more weird and less attractive
Mhm.
would have potentially, maybe because I'm picturing Ichabod not being super attractive, then I'm like, oh yeah, maybe someone even more weird looking would have been cool. And like
I would have
more
picked
awkward.
Guy Pearce. I think Guy Pearce would be my casting
Oh.
pick.
Isn't he that? Doesn't he look a little like a vampire?
Yeah, he
Am I
looks like a
thinking
Tim
of-
Burton character.
Oh no, Guy Pearce. I'm thinking of I'm thinking of somebody else. I know who you're talking
I
about.
want to check that he's Guy Pearce is who I mean. Yeah.
No, yeah. And I know who you're talking about now. I'm thinking of somebody else entirely different. Yeah, no, sure. Someone just kind of a little bit weirder looking, and literally more awkward. I think Johnny Depp just, even when he tries not to, has charisma, and like, I don't know. I'll take him anywhere and get. It's fine. It's great, but
But like Rick Moranis, I don't know why. I feel like Rick Moranis.
Moranis?
Yeah,
I mean,
I
maybe
think he
not
would've
in
done it.
1999, maybe in 1989, he could have done
No,
it.
like I don't want super young Rick Moranis. Like I don't want Ghostbusters era because then I think he comes off as being way too weak. I want someone who's a little bit more grounded, like a slightly older Rick Moranis. Yeah, like in the era when he wasn't acting. So I'm just assuming what he would have been like as an
What
actor.
are you
if
talking
was
about?
doing
He
this
did
stuff.
Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves that year. Thank you
Oh,
very
did
much.
he?
It was around that time. I'm just
Aw.
joking. Nobody saw that movie but me.
Oh, I did. I loved it. The
Oh, did
giant
you
daddy
really?
long legs. Yeah.
Yes.
I made sure that we got that on release day.
Yes.
It was fantastic.
It was
yeah.
straight to video. Poor thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyone else have a least favorite performer? If that's not Christina
Mary?
Ricci?
Yeah, Mary.
I don't know. I liked them all. Christina's accent was very strange.
I felt all the accents were very strange.
The old white men
Personally.
were all good. Like they all had it. They were good. I feel like.
You know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aren't they all
That's
British anyway? So they're
Actually,
just
yes,
like,
they are.
Well, they would have been
No.
very, very shortly removed historically, I would think. From,
Yeah. Like
a
I was
British accent.
questioning if some of the characters were trying to do an in-between accent where I don't know what the dialect would have been like geographically then at that point in time, but I do feel it would have been in transition, depending on generations, from a British sound to a more American sound. And maybe that's what Christina was trying to do, but without any consultation. She was probably just like, maybe I'll just do a bad British accent. I'll blame it on history.
But like
Sure.
it wasn't. It sounded like it wasn't like even that fake like what is it, the Atlantic accent,
Oh, transatlantic?
transatlantic
oh,
accent.
yeah.
That would have been nice.
Yeah, that would have been fine. It was
Oh,
like
I
she
will
started
accept a
off American
transatlantic
and-
accent in any setting, no matter how historically inaccurate it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
totally. Anytime.
We have, Miranda Richardson being the only one with a deliberately American accent was odd.
It was. Yeah, she did not put on it.
Especially considering she grew up in the woods. I think she'd have like some really weird accent.
A little
Oh,
Willie
well,
Sports.
Well, I felt like she did have a weird accent, and I attributed that to history. again, but because it was Miranda, I'll let her do anything she wants because she's the queen of hearts of my heart, and I adore her. So love
Is
Miranda.
that the
Richardson.
Alice in Wonderland where Gene Wilder
Yes.
played a turtle?
Yeah, he's the mock turtle.
That is the best.
Oh my
The
God,
turtle,
that's
that turtle soup
cute.
song is like my
Oh.
Oh my
favorite
gosh.
of all
That-
time.
That cast in that movie is so fantastic. Like
So
Martin
good.
Short is the Mad Hatter, Whoopi Goldberg is the
Yes.
Cheshire
Stop
Cat.
it! Why have I never
Yeah.
heard of
It's
this?
legit.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Shut
You
up.
Hold on,
blew
let
my
me
mind.
let me pull up the rest of the cast. And I
Martin
looked for it
Short.
today on YouTube. It's not
Yeah.
there, sadly.
You need it. That's one
Wow,
of those
I
things
need
we
it.
recorded on a VHS because we were
Yeah.
like, we're gonna want to watch this more than once.
Made for
Oh.
TV movies, how you have eluded us.
I own it on VHS somewhere. I would need to find it.
Oh, it's
And
so
Alice, I
good.
recall, the girl who plays Alice is
Uh-huh.
fantastic as well. And her dialect is incredible. She's an American, but she pulls off the British
Oh.
accent
Yeah,
brilliantly.
she was great.
Yeah. Ben Kingsley is the Caterpillar. Christopher Lloyd is the White Knight. Robbie Coltrane, rest in peace, is one of the Tweedles. Who else is famous
Wow.
in this movie? Yeah, so
It's
good.
good.
Who
There's so
directed
many
it?
lines too that we just throw around my family, like more pepper.
Yes.
Just like it's so good.
It's it is. Oh, it's a
Who
classic.
directed this?
Yeah, I feel like it's nobody super familiar because it was a TV movie. It
Tina
was
Borneo? I think Kristen answered me in the
Nick
chat.
Willing.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah, no, Tina is Alice.
Oh,
okay.
Tina's Alice.
Yeah, she's the
She
girl
was
from
very
Waterworld. If anyone saw Waterworld
Oh!
with Kevin Costner.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm the only person that reacts that way when people say Waterworld. I'm like, love Waterworld.
Wait, Vince is saying some nonsense in the chat.
Yeah, that is weird. That because it's short and long.
Ha!
Oh yeah, they made that joke when he went on his show.
God.
That's funny.
We need to just get Vince on one of these shows to say these in person, to not contribute to the conversation, but just drop the one-liners.
He's like that sidekick in all those late night talk shows.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the band leader.
You need to come on.
Personal remarks are rude, you learn. Yes. It's from the Alice movie. It's so quotable. It's so good.
It is.
Yes. All right. Now I just want to watch that movie.
Me too.
I'll add I'll find a reason to program it next year.
Gene
So that we all
Wilder,
have a reason
because I
to
love him.
watch. Yeah. So good. The cast. And the production design is incredible. Whoopi Goldberg is a cat. What more do you want? So even though it's not really a ghost movie, sort of similar to what I asked the other day about Mars Attacks, when I was like, why do you think alien stories are interesting? Why do you think ghost stories are interesting? Why are they a type of story that keep getting reinterpreted, that we keep coming back to? And I think they're one of the most long-lasting genres of stories. Like aliens, I think we've developed a more recent fascination with, but like ghosts have been around forever. I mean, I can't cite when they first showed up, but like there's probably a ghost or two in the Bible, I would assume.
Or
yeah.
at least like ancient texts.
Yeah.
Maybe they would refer to the undead of sorts.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is it about ghosts and or the undead that we think people find interesting? Because this is very much at its heart, even though they changed it, a ghost story that I think plays with the fascination of the unknown. And actually, that's probably one of the things. Yeah, that's one of the things about this movie that threw me, which I kind of said before, is that they just give you the answers right away. Whereas I like the ambiguity of a ghost story. But there's just so much fascination with the whole question of like what happens after death, etc., etc. And the whole element of the unknown I find super fascinating. And yes, yeah, but no, like just to open it up, what is it about ghost stories that resonate with us?
So I feel like it's ghost story. I feel like the easy answer is we want to either believe or we want to know if anything happens to us after we die. But then beyond that, I think the ghost story of ghosts interacting with humans is that element of wanting to know if we can still interact with this world or if we should fear anything from that world. You know what I mean? Like wondering if there is an interaction element and if we should fear it. not so much the individual ghosts, but again, I think, and maybe we'll talk about them again this year, but all of the Christmas Carol iterations. I mean, it's the ghost story. It's like one of the most famous, right? And I think each of those ghosts kind of depicts a different way of viewing the other side, or how we can interact back to the real world, to the human world. And I think it's a thing of power for us to read it and be like, oh, good, okay, I'll be able to affect something even after I'm gone.
Nicely said. Mary, I saw your hand go up like we were in school. You're such a good student. What do you think?
So there's this podcast that I enjoy. It's called Ghouls Night In, and they just talk about random spooky things every week. And one of them was ghosts and things. And if I remember correctly, it kind of started in like the Victorian times when there were plagues every other year, and people were just naturally losing family members and friends at a rapid pace. And so there was some guy that like created a lamp that made these projections on the walls, and there was some other like crazy stuff, like you had to fast for 24 hours before you could come to one of these ghost shows and stuff. And then they would give you a salad that was like laced with some kind of hallucinogenic thing. But I'm pretty sure that's.
I want to go to this party.
I was gonna say that's my kind of party.
Buy your tickets now. Sells out fast. But yeah, I don't know. I think that people just, ate that shit up because I think they just wanted to believe that the people that were all dead are somehow not really gone. And I think that still fascinates us a little bit now too. And then just the idea that once you personally are gone, you may not actually be like totally gone. Mm-hmm. There's something afterwards, and spooky things are fun. So combination of things.
I think ghost stories are one of my favorite like subgenres of the scary movie umbrella. And I think it's because in this weird way, it's comforting to me based on like what you've all said, having that idea of, someone being able to affect something in this real world, even after they have passed on. But I don't know, it's this kind of, I don't know, I see it as a meta type of thing that like we all become ghosts, and it's not going to be like literal in the way of like, ooh, I'm haunting you, but we all become ghosts through stories. And so the fact that like, we are watching these movies, these stories, or reading these stories, it's this like very meta type idea of we're just all going to be ghosts one day. I don't know. It plays into that Gothic Victorian element that is like aesthetically really pleasing to a lot of audiences. To me, like I eat that up. And I think I think a lot of audiences become desensitized to it. But I very much remember like, watching my first ghost stories and ghost movies, and it being like so terrifying, or like, oh my gosh, because it's that unknown element. And that's why like I like loved my seance experience. That was a complete hack, but like it reinvigorated why I used to like really eat up the ghost stories. So like terror, fear, but also it's comforting.
Such good points. Like I'm thinking about ghost stories in relation to Sleepy Hollow original story, and then also this adaptation. I think to some degree ghost stories like tap into an anxiety, maybe that's the wrong word, but I'll stick with it, an anxiety or a stress related to religion specifically, because I almost feel like the existence of ghosts is counteractive to at least Catholic religion, because that's the only one I'm that's the only one that I am familiar with, that I've like had to learn when I was in school, because it goes against the idea of like you die and then you don't get to stay here. You go to one of the two places. And I feel like ghost stories almost suggest that like there is so much unknown. And it is fear of the unknown, whether that ties into religious beliefs or just your beliefs having to do with science. It's this giant question mark that I think is fascinating and terrifying in a lot of ways. And I think there's also something to be said for ghost stories as an indication that actions have lasting consequences, because the whole element of, I think, like the running through line with ghosts is like they are tied to something that happened when they were alive. And I think we always think of death as being definitive, and the idea that maybe it's not, and that maybe the unfinished business question might have some relevance beyond death. I think that's a constant fascinating factor. And then when you tie in personal relationships as well, there's a lot of beauty, I feel, in holding on to memories and having those manifest as a type of ghost too. Like, that's why Secret Garden is my second favorite musical of all time, because the way that they use ghosts as a narrative device to explain the backstory and how people's actions that aren't with you anymore affected people in the present. I love it. I love a ghost story for so many reasons.
I
So
think
good.
it's also interesting. Ghost stories, I feel, are, at least in history, I don't know about modern tellings, maybe so, but a way for people to explain the unexplainable, because it's not a tangible monster. It's not a person. It's not a force of nature. It's for something that's unexplainable, whether it's a good or an evil. You can blame it on a ghost.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the communication element is such a strong part of it as well, because out of all the scary monster things that are out there, and I think actually this applies to aliens too. For me, one of the scariest things is the idea of being able to make direct contact and communication with something outside of our understanding, like to be able to speak English with something that's not a human, as it were.
Yeah.
And to have an intelligent conversation with something outside of our realm of understanding, I find is, again, terrifying and fascinating. And that's what ghosts are.
That's why, that's why I like love the tool of like Ouija boards. And like, oh yes, this ghost is going to spell out to you in English what they are trying to communicate. Like it is kind of hilarious, but like that is it is such an interesting idea.
Oh, it is. It's fascinating. Martha has a question that I would love to ask. Does anyone have a ghost encounter or a ghost story? Lisa does. I see the nodding.
Yes.
Oh, Mary does too. Okay,
Yeah.
everyone has a ghost story. Let's go.
Mary, you go first. Unless wait,
Sorry, my dog was like pawing at me like she needed to go outside. So of course, that's what we're doing.
Oh, I hope your dog's okay.
Yes.
Yeah, she's fine. She was just taking a nap on my bed, and then she came in my craft room, office, whatever. And was like, "Mom, seriously, I need you right now." I'm like, okay, let's do this. Actually, this is the room that we have all of our ghostly encounters.
Wait, like it's like you're
color.
just talking like it's a frequent occurrence.
Yeah, especially around this time of the year when it starts getting colder for whatever reason. I mean, this room isn't like tidy by any means, but things will just randomly fall down, or like the light that I have on over here is in a place where I can't, like I would have to walk over a box and a little table that's folded up here to like touch it. It's one of those touch lamps, you know? And it was randomly on one day, and I was like, I asked my husband if he turned it on, which was a silly question because he doesn't even come in here, and he was like, no, it probably just turned on by itself or you touched it. And I was like, let me just show you where it's located. And this is the first time today that I've been in this room, so I definitely didn't touch it, my friend. That was the ghost. We just talk about the ghost. So
The ghost,
yeah, he seems chill though, so it's fine.
That's the most important thing.
Right?
my ghost is pretty chill. Like I'm pretty sure that my landlord's mother-in-law passed away in my unit. And she was an old Greek lady. And like, yeah, just some like random things that happen, like lights flickering or like electrical things that like have been working will not work in a certain point in time and then work fine again. But also it's an old house, so I'm sure there's like scientific explanations. But I had a sleep paralysis incident a few years back, where like I was having a dream, and I was like in my theater class, and there was like this black cloud just like hovering over one of my friends in my dream, and it started like attacking him, and I woke up but was paralyzed in my sleep paralysis, and I could see the cloud over me, and it was like gonna come down at me, and I just like kept going like like trying to get out of my paralysis. And I finally did, and I could like, as I was awake, I saw like just smoke clearing, and there was a second at first where I was like, oh my god, is my house on fire? And yeah, it was a dream that I had, but I'm 100% positive that it was like some type of energy spirit that was like warning me of something. I don't know. And yeah, I've never experienced that again. Knock on wood. I never want to, because that was terrifying.
I'm terrified just hearing it.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I've heard a lot of lore about like what sleep paralysis could mean in like the spiritual realm. I know like scientifically it's just something to do with like your breathing and like your brain activity. But yeah, very freaky. Yeah.
That's like worst nightmare is sleep paralysis.
No, it's
No,
not
thank you.
fun. Ugh.
No.
I haven't encountered it yet.
I mean, if you haven't yet, then I think you're in the clear, because
I feel like I am. I hope I am, but never say never.
Right.
Never.
Yeah, never say
Yeah.
never.
So I have two. One is pretty simple. One was my grandfather had just passed away. I was about 4 years old, but I can still like play this thing like a movie in my head. I got out of bed in the middle of the night. I went to the kitchen. Standing in the kitchen, I look into the living room, and a somewhat disembodied, like kind of like head and shoulders part of my grandfather's just like standing there, just like looking at me, and I'm looking at him. And
My
I
God.
just started crying, and as soon as I started crying, he like disappeared, because I was just like sad because he was gone. So I was like, and he had just died, like in the past few days. So that's a pretty straightforward one. And that one I actually like saw saw the actual like embodiment. Then when I was like 19, I had a bartending gig at this very well-known goth bar in the French Quarter called The Dungeon. And obviously New Orleans, not that you can find a ghost a dime a dozen, I'm sure, if you look hard enough, right? Like it's just a lot of history. But most of the buildings in the French Quarter, if they were once residential buildings, hundreds of years ago, the back building was where the slaves would have lived, if you had slaves in your building. And so where this bar was, there was a front building, and then the two satellite bars were in the back. So upstairs was like a small loft area, and that whole area would have been where the slaves slept and lived, out there. And so I am there one day, and it's like sunset, sun's still out, but it's like low. I'm up there and I'm getting the bar ready to open, because we didn't open till sundown. And so I'm getting everything ready. It's me and it's the owner. He's the only other one there, right? He is in an office somewhere. Like I don't see him during business hours usually, right? So I'm just in there. I am all the way across a room. There are two bars. There's one bar at one end of the room, one bar at the other. I am all the way at the other end of the room. Two bottles just come flying off of the other bar. I mean, like not fall, like flying off the shelf. And one whole wall in this thing was a mirror, and the whole mirror just starts. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go downstairs now. I'm just gonna go downstairs. I'm like,
oh my God.
So I went downstairs. I took a second. I went back up there, and it was fine. But forever and always. I'll remember that. So yeah.
Terrifying.
So yeah, I don't. Maybe there's an explanation. I don't know. Buildings are connected, but I didn't feel anything else shaking. So, just
Who were your neighbors on the other side?
it's the French Quarter, so majority bars.
Okay.
Yeah, majority of them are bars. But it was not a time where things were like rocking and rolling yet. It was like 6
Right.
p.m. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
My one probable ghost encounter was like a much less interesting version of yours, where a bar was involved and a cup just flew across the room, but it wasn't a bottle. It was like someone threw it at me. Yes. Yeah. So it was in my dinner theater, and I was by myself because I had to program lights for the show I was directing, because that makes sense. So I was there by myself at like 3 a.m. And then the person who taught me how
That's the witching hour.
It is actually, maybe it wasn't 3 yet. I picked that because it is the witching hour. It's probably like closer to 12:30 or 1. But I was by myself, and before like last person left, it was someone who has been there by themselves at night many times, and he said, "Look out for the ghosts." And I was like, "Why would you say that to me? Why would you put that in my head?" And so I was very much aware all night of trying to get the work done and not letting my imagination get the better of me. Because also there was a storm that night, because of course there was. So there were all these sounds of like the wind pounding the log cabin and like whatever. But then just out of nowhere, at the bar, this reusable Starbucks cup is like thrown across the room. And that was my moment of, I'm getting out of here right now and not coming back until there are other people in this building with me. And yeah, and like that was my one mild ghost encounter, but lots of people who had worked in that theater had their own ghost stories that included seeing fully formed figures, having things just like drop out of nowhere. And and that theater was located on Lundy's Lane, where there was a giant battle during, I think, the War of 1812. So yeah, ghosts aplenty there, I'm sure.
Yeah, wherever there's like, like strife and people, it's like you can feel it. There are definitely just like buildings you walk into.
Oh
like,
yeah. 100%. Like I walk around my neighborhood and I'm like, this place is haunted. Like, and it's bad vibes. And it looks like a normal house, but you could just tell.
Yeah.
Yay, ghosts. Ghosts are fun. Yeah. Yeah. So there we are. Speaking of ghosts, who's ready for the game?
I'm ready.
Game time.
Ready.
So this is a game where you have to write down a different answer for every single thing.
Okay.
Hold on. And the game is called That's the Spirit. Doesn't really have much to do with the game, but I thought it was a cute little name.
That's funny.
Hold on. So pretty straightforward. I'm going to give you the name of a ghost, and you have to tell me what movie, novel, TV show, whatever, what property they are from.
Oh,
okay.
Yes.
So we just have to say where they're from.
Yeah, you just have to say the name of the thing, the movie, TV show. Hold on.
Okay.
Movie, TV show. Actually, it's pretty varied. So the property, the intellectual property that they're from. Because it's a little bit of everything thrown in there. Yeah.
Okay. What if they're like, there's a book, a TV show, and a movie?
Well, just name the franchise.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think there are any of that nature. No, there kind of are. Okay. Here we go. All right.
Okay.
Number 1. Miss Argentina.
What?
Jeanette knows.
Yeah, he's like
Jeanette always knows, and I'm just like, huh? Miss Argentina.
Kristen, play with us, Kristen.
Yes, Kristen. Yeah, Kristen, play.
This is not.
Yeah, you can play.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to keep your score on my score sheet too, Kristen.
Yeah.
There you go. All right.
I'm not. I didn't spell it right, but I don't know.
Answers, please. In 3, 2, 1.
I've never seen that. Dang it.
What?
You've never seen Beetlejuice?
No. I grew up under a rock.
Oh, Mary. Oh, we should
A
have had
rock
you for
where you've
Beetlejuice
seen
then.
Sleepy Hollow 30 times. That's okay.
Yeah, it's
I
okay.
know.
That's a
It
good,
doesn't
that's
make
a good
sense.
rock, though.
Sounds like a good rock.
Good job, Kristen. Okay, next. Sam Wheat. Sam Wheat.
Oh, ooh, maybe I'm right.
Mhm.
You're gonna be shocked if it's this. I've never seen it.
And for the most part, these should all be things that when I tell you the title, you'll, even if you haven't seen them, you'll know what they are. I tried to not go super obscure. It was tempting, but I didn't.
Okay.
Always tempting to go super
Oh,
obscure.
it is. All right, let's see our answers, please, for Sam Wheat. Sam Wheat is the ghost in what? 3, 2, 1. Trick or treat.
Oh, trick or treat. That's
Harry
gotta be it.
Potter. What did you say, Mary?
Mark Twain.
Mark Twain. Let's see
No
if,
idea.
well,
He
none
probably
of you
wrote something, right?
none of you got it. Let's see if
Okay.
Kristen
Oh.
got it. We'll just wait on Kristen.
Kristen, it's
Kristen.
Sam Wheat.
Sam Wheat.
Sam Wheat.
Sam Wheat.
Sam Wheat.
Sam Wheat.
It sounds familiar.
Well, I knew the one in Trick or Treat was named Sam, but I did not know if he was A, a ghost, or B, Sam Wheat. And I have never seen Trick or Treat. I intend on fixing that in the next couple of days.
Oh,
Me
it's an
too.
enjoyable little horror romp.
Is
Oh,
it
you've
like
watched
Sleepy
it?
Hollow?
Yeah.
Oh, well, if you were able to sit through it, maybe, I don't know.
It's not scary enough.
It was uncomfortable. It was one of the
Okay.
movies I watched when I first started the channel. I did a different
Oh!
Halloween movie every day.
Oh!
Bob, you get a point.
Oh.
Did you-
Okay, I got it. I got it with
Okay.
Bob.
You can't get it,
Yeah,
Lisa.
Bob-
What is it, Lisa? What is it?
Oh!
Yeah.
Lisa, you get a point.
Oh my God, I can't believe I didn't get that.
I can't believe his name is Sam
I'm
Wheat.
very embarrassed.
Molly, you in danger, girl. That's so
I
such a
love
good,
that.
Bob,
such a good
I
ghost
owe
movie.
you one.
Okay, next. Do I want to give you all 3 of these ghosts or just one of them? Because they're a trio.
All
Let's give you
3.
all 3. Okay. Stretch, Stinky, and Fatso.
Oh.
Oh. Oh. Oh, I don't know.
I at least have a guess for this one, so that's something.
This movie, well, not even a movie. This franchise has been mentioned on this tonight's show.
Oh, I might be.
It
right then.
has?
Mm-hmm.
Bob, you forgot it was called Ghost.
Oh my God, I knew I knew that name. I'm like super embarrassed. I love that movie.
I don't think they say his last name very often. I think he's just Sam
Yeah.
through most of the movie.
Yeah.
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 But anyway, yeah, let's see our answer for Stretch, Stinky, and Fatso in 3, 2, 1.
I don't know.
Yes, Casper.
Wow. Really?
God,
Is it? Are they in the Hillary Duff version?
There's
Actually,
a
yes,
Hillary
they are.
Duff
Hillary
version?
Yeah, it's Casper meets Wendy. She's Wendy the Witch.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's
I
like
only
the
know the
only
Christina
Casper
Ricci
movie.
version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never seen the Christina Ricci version.
You've never.
Oh,
my
it's
God.
so
Aw,
good.
The Devon
It's
Sawa.
cute.
Devon Sawa. It's so
Who
good.
is- oh, I know he's grown up Casper. Who else is he? Or not grown up, human Casper. Who else is
He's
he?
in SLC Punk. He's in. Is he in Urban Legend? He's probably in Urban Legend too. Or I Know What You Did Last Summer. One of those two.
Oh, okay. Okay, slasher movies. I
But he
wouldn't
was
say.
on the cover of like Tiger Beat, like one
What's
of those
Tiger
people.
Beat?
Nice. J14.
Teen magazine,
Oh,
Tiger
okay.
Beat, Bop, those things that we buy when we're 12 that they sell to us.
Oh, I
Yeah,
just bought Disney Adventure
Sexualize us.
magazines.
Yes.
But yeah, Disney Adventures over sexualizing us in the way that they do. What was this? There's an amazingly bad episode of Star Trek where Dr. Crusher gets intimate with a ghost from another planet. Ooh,
Vince
Is
The one
this
I
original
watched?
Star Trek?
I'd watch
Next
that.
Generation.
It's got to be Next Generation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dr. Fisher.
'Cause I don't remember that plot.
I was actually contemplating that earlier today, thinking if aliens exist and ghosts exist, does that mean ghost aliens exist?
Yeah,
They must.
Yeah.
they have to. And
That's
that
a whole level of. I'm not ready for any of that. No.
Oh,
Okay. Next, Slimer.
Oh, jeez.
has it been mentioned tonight?
Actually, yes. Yes.
Yeah, it has actually.
yeah, it
Lisa.
has. Yeah, recently.
Okay, hold on.
Oh golly.
No cheating from Kristen in the chat.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, let's go. 3, 2, 1.
I don't know.
Yes, it's Ghostbusters.
You did it.
Well, technically, it's Ghostbusters, but you all put singular, so you'll all get the
It's
point.
fine.
It's
Mary,
true.
thank you. Your little hint of
Yeah.
well,
Don't even have to erase your previous answer.
it's true.
We go point for Kristen. All right. Next, Moaning Myrtle.
I love her voice. I
Oh,
can't
so
get enough
good.
of it.
I just like the name Myrtle.
I think of the Myrtle the turtle is what I always think.
That's a good turtle
Mm.
name.
Would
Yeah.
you be the myrtleiest myrtle at the myrtle party? Sorry.
What?
You never see Master of Disguise? I'm the turtliest turtle at the turtle party. No.
Oh no.
Should I
Sorry.
add it to my list? Let's see our
I
answers.
don't know.
please.
It's Dana Carvey.
Okay. Answers in 3, 2, 1. Yes, of course, it's Harry Potter. Representing the Ravenclaws, because there aren't really any good Ravenclaw characters in that entire franchise. It's really sad. Ravenclaw characters are all the worst, but in the best way.
Yeah, well.
Yes, Harry Potter. There we go.
Oh, Vincent knows the movie I was quoting.
Yeah, Master of Disguise.
Ah,
Turtle, turtle, turtle.
Oh, yes, I know. Yes. Isn't it where the guy's like, you're doing a lot of this and I want you to do this? Isn't that
That sounds like it might be it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've not seen it, but I remember the trailer very well.
yes.
Okay.
mhm.
Next, we have. Oh, I threw this one in specifically for one of you. You'll know who you are. The Bent Neck Lady.
I know this so
Oh
well.
God, what's the name of that one? Oh my God, it's on the tip of my.
It's my
I
favorite.
only know this because you mentioned it at some point.
Yes, I've mentioned it many times because it's my favorite.
I think she's come up the last 2, if not 3 weeks.
I have to
She's good.
watch her thing tonight.
Okay, answers please. In 3, 2, 1. Yes, it's The Haunting of Hill House. Good job, everybody.
Thank you, Lisa.
Maybe I got to give that show another shot. I started it and it was pretty boring, and I didn't keep
Honestly,
going.
same, Jeanette. The first time I went through it, it was rough.
Haunting of Hill. Oh, of course, I forgot. Kristen loves Haunting of Hill House. I think just like
Really, Kristen? Oh my
the
god!
property, but also presumably the TV series. But I remember when I worked with Kristen when we first met, we were discussing favorite movies. I think the 60s one is a favorite. Correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, Kristen.
God,
But
Kristen,
yeah.
we need to nerd out about this immediately, please.
Isn't it like
Well,
super scary? 'Cause I've not seen it.
Yeah, it's like there's a pretty good jump scares in it, like
Oh.
especially the later episodes. Yeah, the first the first beginning part is I get it, it's boring, but it's
Yeah.
because they need to build all the puzzle pieces to get to the end.
And I think I had a similar experience to that as I did with Sleepy Hollow, where once I accepted it wasn't fully what I wanted, which was a full out ghost story, I was able to enjoy it because I think it's more just a family drama that has ghosts in it. And like there are scary elements, but it's not as ghosty as I like my ghost stories, but I still love it. And like the acting is incredible. The cast is fantastic. And and I would recommend like just check out the original The Haunting of Hill House. Or is it just The Haunting? Is that the original movie from the 60s?
I don't know. I like both The Haunting and House on Haunted Hill,
Yeah.
but I didn't care for this one.
I think those are, the book is decent, but the book is very different from the movie. And
book is incredible. The series lost me early on. And actually, I think that's the other thing with the series. I remember now because I was familiar enough with the structure of, I haven't read the book, but the movie, which I think is close enough. And I had to realize that they were very loosely doing an adaptation where like some characters had, well, not all the characters had parallels in the original, but they were just flavors and it's its own thing.
Yeah. 100%. Do not read the book and then expect it in the TV series. It's not the same thing.
No, and I think that's the strength of that franchise, because with Bly Manor, it was the same from what I've gathered about Turn of the Screw. Very loosely inspired. Like, it took the heart of it and then just made it its own thing. And like, I like that. Yeah.
Shirley Jackson for the win. For
Yeah, Shirley.
Yeah.
Love her. All right, next, Madame Leota.
Is she a ghost though?
Yeah, she is.
I have no idea. What?
Actually, Lisa, I put in Haunting of Hill House for you specifically because I didn't think you
Because
would
of
get
this?
Madame
I
Leota.
get
Yes.
that you're. Yeah. Well, I'll say this after. Like,
Uh,
I love that Lisa doesn't know what this is from.
I don't know how this is possible, but okay.
Let's see. Answers, please. In 3, 2, 1. Oh, wait. I want to see what Lisa says. What's that?
Ray
Ray
Liotta's
Liotta's
biopic. Oh my god.
Oh, that.
I always forget you're not a Disney person first and then everything else
Yes,
like
and
the
then-
rest of like,
although I love Haunted
Kristen got it.
Mansion. I should know this. What?
Yeah,
I'm
wait,
the
like,
ride?
the
No,
ride
let's
or the
clarify.
movie?
You like the ride or the
I
movie?
like the ride and the movie with Eddie
Oh
Murphy.
goodness gracious.
Yeah.
We need to
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
she's the head in the crystal ball.
Yeah.
Actually,
now I
she's
know.
the only good part of that movie.
No,
Tilly will forever be
No.
the only good part of any bad movie.
Jennifer,
Really?
no, Jennifer Tilly was so miscast.
Yeah,
I'll
it
take
was
her
weird.
any way I can get her. I love her.
Hashtag not my Leota.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
I said
Okay.
what I said.
All
But
right.
also that movie. Well, I recall the last time I rewatched that movie, it wasn't as bad as I remembered. But she
It's
was.
not
So
good.
here we are.
Wow. Okay.
I know.
Those feelings are out tonight.
Bring on Jamie Lee Curtis. Put her in the crystal ball. That's all I. Well, she wouldn't be my first choice, but I'll take it over Jennifer Tilly.
Or Miss
Um,
Piggy. Did you watch the Muppets Haunted
Oh,
Mansion?
of course I did.
That
That
one's
was my
better by
favorite.
leaps and bounds. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so much better.
Was this Terrence? Oh, is Terrence Stamp the butler guy in the
Yeah.
Haunted Mansion movie?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yes, I remember enjoying him. Actually, I loved the entire staff in that movie, like Wallace
Yeah.
Shawn and whoever the lady was. Yeah, yeah, it was. It had its moments. but-
I love Kristen's love for this movie more than I could ever love this movie because
I
she
need to
has
watch
made this point to me before.
I know.
it, like, immediately. Like after we get off, I'm going to turn it on. Like it's so good.
Yeah, no, like I too love Kristen's love for this movie, and I think it makes me like the movie slightly more. So there we go.
Amazing.
Yeah, but also Haunted Mansion, I think, the ride was notoriously difficult for them to make, to find the scary, funny balance, and I think that's very evident in the movie too, that the same struggle endures. So we'll see if the new movie has any more success. I think it might, just because they at least made a choice for where the mansion is. I think that's a big problem with the Eddie Murphy movie, because the mansion rides are so embedded in location, because it's New Orleans and Disneyland, and then like New England, Maine in Florida, but then they just made generic mansion. I'm like, no, the place matters. Anyway, it's my
Mhm.
rant on the Haunted Mansion and geography. Next, Banquo.
Banquo?
Are you serious?
Yeah,
Say
Matt.
Banquo or Banquo?
Banquo. Banquo. Banquo.
All right.
This is like
okay.
a Japanese.
I'm making a
movie?
shot in the dark. Shot in the dark here.
I can't. You throw these ones in, and everyone gets confused.
This
Banquo.
is this is what I'm gonna guess is what I guess every
Banquo.
time I don't know something on one of Matt's shows. So
It's Banquo. Everyone knows Everyone loves Banquo.
No, I mean
Nobody
when
knows Banquo.
I know Banquo. I know what you're doing, Matt.
Banquo is very much a ghost.
Yes, I know,
Yes.
but
Let's see. Answers in 3, 2, 1.
okay.
Yes, Macbeth. There we go.
do I get a half a point? I knew it was Shakespeare. Yay! And I was
Yeah,
actually
sure.
right this time.
Give you a point
Everyone
five.
loves Banquo.
Yeah, everyone loves Banquo.
Oh,
No,
Oh,
Kristen, you got a
God.
point. He's the best Shakespeare ghost. He shows
Every
up and
time
ruins the
every
party.
time you guys know something about Shakespeare, I always feel like such an uncultured swine because I don't know
that's how
anything
I
about
feel when you know
Shakespeare.
about movies.
Don't worry, Shakespeare month will happen eventually too. Mostly, I really want to watch and discuss the Denzel Macbeth movie.
Yeah,
It's
that one
Yes.
I loved. Loved.
so good. And Banquo, he was in that.
He was, and I didn't remember.
I can't remember. So never mind. I relinquish my
Nobody loves
point.
Banquo.
Nobody loves Banquo. Okay. Next. I don't know if anyone will get this, but we'll see. Shoeless Joe Jackson.
Oh. See, look at that. I'm so freaking uncultured. I'm like, oh, I know that one. Great.
I have shoeless.
This is one I would not have known. I pulled up a list of famous ghosts because I wanted to make sure that this extended outside of my personal knowledge. And this is one, yeah. Like if I was playing, I wouldn't get this one.
This is a real guess.
So, answers, please. In 3, 2, 1. Sandlot, Pirates of the Caribbean, Field of Dreams. Let's see what Kristen says. Just hold off.
The restaurateur.
Restaurateur.
Okay, that makes sense.
I'm just singing the Shoeless Joe song from that musical about Faust, but it's baseball.
Oh, the one that was just at Shaw.
At Shaw, yeah.
Damn
Yankees.
Yeah.
So much better than I expected it to be. Like the
Kristen
production
does
was
not know.
fantastic, but Kristen doesn't know. Yeah, so Field of Dreams.
Yay.
Yay! They come out of the corn or something. I stopped that movie actually when the ghost showed up because it made me angry about just how accepting they were of the ghosts. I was, yeah.
Hey,
because I remember
6 Degrees, Ray Liotta in that movie.
there you go.
There you go.
There's this moment when the ghosts show up and then the main guy is kind of weirded out, but then his wife's like, oh, well, I'll go make some coffee. And
Yeah.
like, what?
It's a very famous line.
That was when, is it actually? I'll go
Yeah,
make some
when she
coffee.
comes out there, she goes, oh, that makes yeah.
That's the moment that lost me.
I had to watch
okay.
that movie so many times, kid. Oh my god.
Really?
Huh.
One day
My
I'll watch it.
mom always had it on. We actually got it on VHS from McDonald's while they were handing out the McDonald's Halloween buckets in
I
like
remember
1992 or 1994 or whatever.
I remember McDonald's giving out VHSs now. What a flashback. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Final question of the regular round.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. No, I wasn't sure which I was going to use for the bonus, but I know now. Here we go. Alexis and Alexa Grady.
Oh, this is so familiar.
Alexis and
mhm.
Alexa Grady.
Okay. I'm gonna
Uh,
feel really stupid if this is not it, but
Fingers crossed that this is right.
James Earl Jones is in Field of Dreams.
no, he's not.
oh yeah.
Is he
Yes, he is.
really?
I thought, or is,
Yeah, I'm pretty
is that
sure
the
he is.
Sandlot? I know he's in the
I
Sandlot.
don't trust anything Vince says. Field of Dreams. Oh my god, he is.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought so. I'm like, I'm not crazy. I've seen that movie like 20 times. Yeah, he's in
You
there.
see, we never know when to trust Vince. All right. Answers, please. 3, 2, 1.
Ah, sorry. Hold on. I'm not looking at anybody.
Okay.
I'm just trying to get my phone on.
I was like, yeah, hold on while you write your answer, Lisa.
No.
Mhm.
Black Mirror.
Oh,
We were-
man.
We were looking for
The Shining.
The Shining.
Yeah.
It's
I don't
really
think I ever really
creepy
knew their
twins.
names, but I was like, they sound like twins. That
Right,
sounds like
same.
twins.
Yeah. Exactly.
Controversial opinion. I dislike The Shining. Love Doctor Sleep.
Ooh.
Yes.
I've yet to
What
see
is
The
this
Shining
like The
because
Shining?
I'm waiting to read the book. And every October, I tell myself I'll read the book. I own the book. It's in my backpack. I never read the book.
I finally
Maybe you should
did,
get the
and
audio
you should.
version.
It's way better than like any version of it out there. Like the original
Really?
source material in
Ooh.
this case kicks the crud out of anything.
Huh.
It's usually the case I find with Stephen's books, minus it. It's a hot mess, and very
Yes.
problematic. But
The
other
It
one.
book goes on for about 250 pages that it didn't need to go on.
that it
Dang.
does.
It goes places it does not need to go.
Yes, it absolutely does. Even questioning how that got published. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's see. So the point tallies. Jeanette has 8.5. Lisa has 6. Mary has 7. Kristen has 7. How many
I have
points?
6? Oh my God.
Yeah, you have 6. How many points would we like to wager for the final round?
All of them.
All of it.
I'm gonna pull an Alex.
Oh, you're gonna
And
save
do-
one, so you're gonna wager 6, yeah?
Yeah,
Smart.
Somebody better do it.
Okay.
that's how he wins.
It's true. Kristen, how many points are you wagering? Type it in the chat. You have 7. You have 7 points. Now, I know that I said you just have to name the franchise, but that's not the case for this final one because the franchise is too easy. I need the specific name of the film in which this ghost appears. All right.
Okay.
So the ghost is
Okay.
Luke Skywalker.
Oh,
Oh.
okay.
Oh no.
I need the specific film where we see Luke Skywalker as a Force ghost.
Okay.
And Kristen's going all in. Brilliant. I like Yoda's answer. Hashtag Scrooge, Christmas Carol web series by Matthew Yipchuk.
Yes.
It's not the proper answer. It should have been, though.
I don't know if this is right.
I'm
Bob's
so
answer.
torn.
The one where he's
The
dead.
one where he's dead.
You're not wrong, actually. Well, obviously you're not wrong, but there is only one where he's dead.
Okay.
Okay, answers, please. We'll go one at a time. Lisa,
Boom.
The Rise of Skywalker. Okay. Jeanette, Last Jedi. Okay. Mary,
You guys have the two that I'm going between.
Last Jedi.
Kristen
Someone got it
says
right.
Last Jedi.
Right?
Vince got it right.
Oh,
And so Lisa got it right.
That
dang
is
it.
not true.
Yes, it is.
That
He
is not
dies
true.
in The Last Jedi at the very end. And then he comes back as a Force ghost in Rise of Skywalker.
What was your
He doesn't
question?
force ghosts in Last Jedi.
He's a
the
Force
end?
ghost when he dies.
He's a projection. It's different because he's not actually dead. He's using the Force to project his
So
to
didn't
like
you
send a
ask that-
hologram.
No, his
Like,
ghost
there's
is
shenanigans.
Rise of
Shenanigans.
Yeah, his ghost is like in Last Jedi. That whole climax, he's presenting himself as a physical human, and he's not actually dead yet. But he's using all the Force energy to send a hologram out, which was a big point of contention and part of the reason
so
people
you're
hated
talking about the moment of high injustice at the end of Rise of Skywalker, where Ben Solo doesn't get a Force ghost. You're talking about that scene? Is that the scene you're talking about?
it. No, he shows up and talks to Rey at some point. Like he walks out of the fire.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But also, yes, he does show up at the very end. You're right.
That scene makes me so mad. I can't.
Yeah.
even.
Yeah.
Just,
Well,
All of those
justice for
movies
Ben
make me
Solo.
so
oh,
mad.
that scene makes me angry because her taking the Skywalker name is counterintuitive to everything that movie was preaching. Where the whole movie
Sure.
is about, even if you're a Palpatine, you could still be your own person. And at the end, she's like, well, I'm going to give up my name and just become a Skywalker. It's like, did you not pay attention to what Leia was trying to teach you?
Ugh,
Come on.
The whole thing was garbage.
Oh, contest. Ghosts of alive people are a real thing. Doppelganger.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I believe that. I totally believe that.
Ooh.
Hold on. Do I have to see? This is a case where, not to say that he's not always useful, but this is a case where Alex would be very specifically useful because he has a obnoxious wealth of knowledge about Star Wars lore and about what is what. So we'll follow this up when he's not at Stratford. So there we are. But anyway, Lisa won. Yay!
Yay, Lisa!
Yay! Friends.
Woot. All right. Any closing thoughts on Sleepy Hollow and or Ghosts?
On ghosts in general.
Just anything. Closing thoughts on anything we discussed tonight.
Can we just have an episode where people tell ghost stories? Because I was just enthralled the whole time.
I know.
That was
me
my
too.
favorite part.
Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah, I'll do that. That'd be so much fun.
Yeah.
No, just this was, I thought, a good Burton film, and like it was Burton-esque, and I thought it was pretty great, and I still love it.
I appreciate it. I do want to mention that the tree that he's like buried underneath,
The gross blood tree, yeah.
it kind of looks like a person going like meh. And
does.
although I came into this conversation feeling like it was
Feeling like the tree.
feeling like the tree, I appreciate it now, and I'm looking forward to watching it in the future with my newfound love for it. So yeah.
Mary, closing thoughts.
Yeah, I don't know. It was very good. Did Katrina just cash out all her newfound wealth when she moved to New York?
Yeah, she spent it all on the Beetlejuice dress.
Yeah. It's a
Oh.
great dress though.
I love that dress.
I love
I wish
that.
it got more screen time, truth be told.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True story.
Like, that's the iconic Katrina costume that I just know by reputation. I've spent the whole movie thinking, where is it? Then it showed up and then the credits rolled.
Yep.
Yeah.
Travesty.
Classic Colleen Atwood design. We adore her. Closing thoughts. I enjoyed this movie more than I expected to. I fully intend to give it a rewatch. And yeah, as somebody who loves murder mysteries, loves a ghost story, loves an adaptation, like once I get past it not being what I want it to be, when I embrace it for what it is, I think it's a really fun Halloween season movie. And I love and appreciate all the little nods to the classic Disney cartoon, just things like the frog saying Ichabod, which I thought was super special. Even like the moment of him riding the horse backwards, which I thought was a nice callback. So yeah, it made my Disney heart very happy. And maybe one day I'll be able to watch Lisa Marie fall out of the Iron Maiden, presumably pierced with lots of blood coming out of her. Although I don't think I can ever handle that. So who knows? I'll get back to you next year. There we are. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Oh, wait, hold on. Fun fact from Kristen. Queen Elizabeth, the first, saw her doppelganger before she died. I read that as the second, and I was about to say, how do you know that?
Yeah, I thought she said Queen Elizabeth. I saw her doppelganger before she died. But
That's
there was
what
no
I thought,
comma.
too.
Oh, wait. Maybe that is what she means. Kristen, did you see Huey 2's doppelganger before she died? Tell us that story, but later. Anyway, okay. So anyway, friends, yes, do your sign-offs. Tell us who you are, where we can find you, and anything fun that you have coming up in the immediate future or distant future if you plan out your life far in advance. Start with Mary.
Hi, I am Mary from Jolly Holiday with Mary, and you can find me here on the YouTube doing weekly vlogs with my two adorable Boston Terriers, one of which is down here driving me crazy.
Oh,
She just keeps popping up like, give me food, even though it's too soon. And you can find me over on Instagram at MaryDarlingXO. I have lots of fun pastel Halloween stuff right now, soon to be pastel Christmas stuff.
love it. Love the pastel Halloween aesthetic. So good. So good. Thank you, Mary. Until next time. Ta-ta.
Hey, so you can find me on Instagram at TinkerJ787. And you can follow my Disney trips, and you can follow me and the things I like movies, obviously. You can find me on We Like Theme Parks. And so we have a new episode dropping wherever you get your podcasts on Monday on Halloween. And that will have a trip review of my first 2 Halloween Horror Nights. And then you can find me here on Teacup for One.
Exciting. Thank you, Jeanette.
Hi, folks. I'm Lisa Alves. You can follow me on Instagram at Lisa_A_Alves. I actually am doing like an open mic night in Mississauga, doing like spoken word poetry on Sunday at Studio 89. So if anyone's in Mississauga in the GTA, come out and see some poetry if you can. Also, I have a show coming up that I'm producing called Our Place at Theater Pass Marai. It's opening later in November, so follow at Cahoots Theater and at Beyond Walls TPM for more information. That's me.
Brilliant. Thank you, Lisa. And if you're watching this in my channel, please like, comment, subscribe. There's so much activity in the live chat here, which I love. You know what? If you're so compelled, leave a comment in the video proper, not in the live chat, and then like boost the algorithm, because everyone needs to hear these creepy ghost stories. Also, just to pull up some of Kristen's comments here to clarify, Queen Elizabeth I. You retracted that because it sounded awful. No, don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. We understand now. Queen Elizabeth I saw her doppelganger before she died. Queen Elizabeth II probably didn't. But who knows? Maybe we'll find out in The Crown in like 25 years from now. Thank you for joining us, friends. So we are going to be back here next week with the final installment of our Tim Burton movie marathon. And next week's film is Sweeney Todd. We are going to attend the tale so hard. So join us for attending that tale. And until then, my name is Matt and I have 2 degrees. And this has been the Tea Cup for One. How do I end this?